Hello, I'm Katinka Blackford Newman, founder of the not-for-profit Antidepressant Risks, and welcome to our Spotlight series, where we feature conversations with some of the organizations and experts referenced on our website. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Yassi Pirani. Yassi is a psychotherapist and consultant based in Vancouver, Canada, whose work focuses on supporting people navigating the often complex and poorly understood experiences associated with psychiatric medication. She specifically works with people suffering post-SSRI sexual dysfunction and is on the leadership team of the Canadian PSSD Society and collaborates with researchers and provides education to healthcare professionals on this subject. Yassi, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, first of all, I'd love to hear what brought you to this work.
Yeah. So, about 5 years ago, I first came across PSSD. I had a client with it, and I was working with her, and then started hearing directly from other affected patients. I was hearing people describing these, devastating, persistent symptoms that were developing from taking this class of medications, this class of antidepressants. So these symptoms were presenting during treatment or upon discontinuation. And I was really struck by people's experiences. I came from a background in the sexual violence field, and was really impacted hearing, about how patients were describing PSSD as a violation of their bodily autonomy, and likening it to other forms of non-consensual sexual violence and trauma, and realizing how many parallels there were to the sexual violence world, the power and authority differentials involved, the shame experienced when speaking out about the condition, the societal minimization, the systemic nature of it all. So many parallels. I began to learn how systemic the issue is, and how strong the cultural bias is towards dismissing patients due to lack of awareness or discomfort with the topic, and lack of research. So hearing patient stories really, was just so powerful, and pushed me into advocacy and research. I felt like I needed to do, after hearing so many stories, I felt like I needed to do something to help challenge the broader systems that are complicit in perpetuating this avoidable harm.
Okay, so what I'm curious about, Yassi, is that how did you know that it was the drug that was causing this with your patients? And because so many patients we know just get dismissed, and people and doctors, medics say, "Oh, this is a symptom of depression." How were you convinced that it was the drug and not a mental health condition?
Yeah, it's such a great question. PSSD is dramatically different from um, depression and low libido associated with depression. It's a collapse of sexual function and their sensory experience, and oftentimes emotional experience. It's very different from from low mood and kind of the sort of typical presentation of depression. So really big factor is just some of the symptoms that are very distinct, such as genital numbness. It's not part of depression or other mental health issues, and how clearly it presents for people. If it's just, oftentimes the change is just overnight, it's so quick, and that kind of thing doesn't happen typically with mental health conditions, where all of a sudden overnight they're noticing physiological changes in their body that weren't there the day before. But ultimately, really deferring to patients' own expertise on their own bodies, and really trusting them and their sense of what's happened to them. People are pretty clear, have a lot of clarity that this is what's going on. It's not what they're experiencing isn't caused by a mental health problem. Yeah.
So, of course, there's some understanding, isn't there, that just whilst you're on SSRIs, that it might interfere with your sexual functioning. But what isn't so clear is that you stop the medication and that those effects can last indefinitely. Isn't
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, I would often say sometimes the sexual numbing that people have while on the medication, that's really common. PSSD is typically a lot more severe than that. So it's not just often a continuation of that side effect. It's a much more broad and severe set of symptoms than that typical numbing that people have or blunting that they have sexually while on the medication. Yeah.
So what is it then? You say that it's much more severe. What is it?
Yeah. So it is a whole range of sexual symptoms, loss of genital sensation, loss of ability to orgasm, loss of ability to even feel romance or sexual attraction, just amputation of libido, fantasy. Yeah, just kind of the sexual drive and sense of a person. Then there can also be a range of non-sexual symptoms as well. So emotional numbing, emotional anesthesia, anhedonia, so the inability to experience pleasure, joy, motivation, reward. There's a loss of, romantic emotion and other emotion in that numbing as well. There's a loss of ability to feel empathy. There's cognitive impairments, memory issues, brain fog, loss of ability to connect to music, art, creativity. There's learning difficulties, loss of imagination and visualization. There's a range of sensory problems in skin, vision, taste, and smell. Yeah, full body numbness, brain zaps. Yeah, yeah, visual snow. Um, yeah, so yeah, difficulty with experiencing, hunger or thirst or fatigue.
So Yassi, tell me, how do you help your clients who are in this situation?
Yeah. So I wear a few different hats. I am trained as a therapist, but I also work as a consultant and coach. So my aim really is to provide a space where people can feel genuinely heard and supported by somebody who understands the condition really well. I know that so much of the suffering related to PSSD comes from feeling really alone in it and not being believed and not even knowing where to turn to get support. So but yeah, how I support people really depends on what's personally meaningful to them, which can really range depending on a variety of factors, such as their symptom profile. Like the symptom profiles can really range depending on the person. It's a really broad set of symptoms that people can have. So based on that, based on how old they were when they got the condition, how long they've had PSSD, but generally, it looks like helping people make sense of their experience and what's happened to them to process that, offering emotional support, grief support, or adjustment support, developing the confidence to advocate for themselves, um, navigating difficult conversations with medical professionals or partners or family members, exploring what goals they may have, or establishing new goals based on their new set of circumstances. So yeah, supporting them and moving towards goals that they may have for themselves. Exploring dating uncertainty and insecurity is a big one. And yeah, exploring coping strategies, finding ways to function and thrive as much as possible. Um, yeah, support with navigating the consequences. Often there's can be really big ones in terms of, relationships, identity, career, and yeah, maintaining hope for recovery and finding ways to make meaning through taking action or getting involved in advocacy. So those are some of the things we work with.
Gosh, that's quite a lot. So when you talk about goals, what sort of goals can somebody who is in this situation, which is a limbo, really, isn't it? Because nobody knows really how long it can last. What
Yeah.
kind of goals can somebody suffering from
Yeah,
PSSD
that's
have?
such a good question. So, again, really depends on the symptom profile. Like, for example, if somebody um, has the kind of more so just the sexual, I hate saying just the sexual because it's still really massive, but not so much maybe the cognitive and emotional impairments, but more so in the sexual sphere. Yeah, a goal might be finding meaning and purpose in their life outside of relationships and their sexuality. There's people who've gone on to become single parents. And, that's been, a goal for them. For some people, it's uh, getting involved in advocacy. For some people, it's really finding a way to just put one foot in front of the other each day, or to figure out how to be, how to parent their child in alignment with their values, even though they don't feel emotions anymore. And yeah, really figuring out a structure for, how they want to be in that role, um, and allowing kind of the sense of who they were before this happened to them, and their, yeah, sort of internal moral North Star that they have access to, yeah, really guiding them when they don't have that emotional responsiveness anymore. Yeah, it really ranges, for some people, um, maybe they don't have the cognitive impact so bad. So finding ways to, yeah, really kind of pivot forward in their career and focus on that. It really, really depends. For some people, it's just survival. It's just survival, or being a good neighbor, or yeah, learning something that does interest them. Really, it ranges so much. For some people, it is trying to find a supportive partner, even though their sexual functioning is deeply impaired. They still have romantic emotion, and so they want to go out and explore, finding somebody that they can have a meaningful bond with, who will be understanding of some of their limitations physiologically. So yeah,
Wow.
it's
So,
really depends.
yeah. So it's about what I'm hearing is that it sounds like you are providing a really valuable counseling to people to have them adapt to the reality that they are faced with.
Yeah, and there's always hope that people can get better. I've seen it with my own eyes many times, and sometimes it takes quite a while for that to happen. But until that, it's kind of like holding hope for that, while also adjusting to the present, and adjusting to life with the possibility that things might not dramatically improve anytime soon, and how, what does that need to look like for them. So yeah, it can be yeah, kind of walking a tightrope sometimes, kind of keeping that hope alive and that possibility, alive, absolutely, while also, yeah, figuring out ways to, yeah, sort of adapt and adjust to the current circumstances, and put one foot in front of the other with the new context that they're dealing with.
And so, finally, Yassi, where or how can people find you?
Yeah, so people can find me at my website, willowleafcounseling.ca.
You're also listed on our website at Antidepressant Risks, so people can find you there. So thank you so much for an important conversation, Yassi. If you'd like to stay connected with our work, do sign up to our monthly newsletter via the Antidepressant Risks website. It's where we share new interviews, lived experience stories. We also host a monthly peer support group for people tapering or withdrawing, hold our annual Stolen Lives event and picnic each year on the 29th of July, and we curate what has become the world's largest virtual library of resources on antidepressant risks, withdrawal, and adverse reactions. If this conversation resonated, please share it and help us continue strengthening informed consent and safer conversations around mental health.